All right. So, welcome everybody to this channel. I have a very, very special guest with me today. Her name is Thecla. She is a mother of two beautiful children. She is a wife. She is a detoxification specialist, as well a lymphatic iridologist. And I'm very honored to call her my friend as well. So, Tisla, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Also, I want to mention it's her birthday today.
But yes,
How many
35
years?
years. Yes, 35.
35. Can't you believe,
Yes.
like, oh, you look so much younger. Like,
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's
yeah,
all the juice. I'll blame it all on the juice.
it's
Yeah.
all the juice. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank
Guys,
you.
this is going to be a really, really beautiful conversation. I asked Tisla to come up here to share her story, how she, yeah, healed her body. And so, Tisla, do you want to share a bit about your past? Like, how did you grow up? What did you eat? Your religious background?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I was raised Christian, Seventh Day Adventist. I'm not sure if you've heard of those that religion, but it's I was raised like that, and we have never eaten meat. Actually, most Seventh Day Adventists are vegetarian. So I thought that because since I wasn't eating meat, that I was like eating really healthfully, and but with that said, we were eating a lot of like processed vegetarian meat and a lot of cheese and milk and different things like that. And
Mm,
um, my mom has been amazing because even though it's just like kind of pre-internet, and so she didn't have like a lot of resources, but she did like look into things as much as she could, and figured out that less milk and cheese is not so it's not so healthy, so we ate less of that. And she started coming up with like cashew cheese, and so we would have cashew macaroni and cheese instead of
wow.
normal macaroni and cheese, and different options, different things like that. So she would make whole wheat bread instead of white bread, and if there was something, she would look into herbs instead of taking medicine and different things. So from a young age, even though I was exposed to eating a lot of this type of things, I was also getting used to eating a little bit more simple and a little bit more plant-based and a little more whole foods, and kind of like we were always gearing a little bit more that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, so it was interesting. As I got a little bit older, I started noticing different symptoms, and of course, now looking back, I understand what those symptoms were. When I was in second grade, my vision started going bad, so I had to get glasses, for instance. And also, I would, when I was younger, at different times, I would get like rashes on my skin, a little like an allergy reaction where it was like lots of bumps, and I'd be itching and scratching, and um,
Mm,
yeah, just a lot of just different kind of things. I was always quite tired, really. I wouldn't say that I was like a high energy child, but I thought I felt fine, and so and so on I went. And yeah, as the years kind of went by, I ended up having like polycystic ovarian syndrome. I also, at a young age, was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I was a preteen
mm,
actually when I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And so my mom, instead of putting me on birth control, which is what the doctors wanted me to do, we went and got herbs, which really helped. Even though my diet didn't change, I like the herbs still really helped a lot. But I still, because of my thyroid problems, I was still put on thyroid medication. And I felt good for a while doing that. And so I thought, well, this has fixed my problems. I'm on medication, taking herbs. And so now I'm all good. But as time kind of kept going, I kept noticing some other problems that would come up, different digestive problems, an increase of hormone problems. I was not producing enough progesterone. And as the older I got, from like the time puberty started up until like 20, my progesterone levels were just decreasing like all the time. And I kept taking, progesterone medication, progesterone cream. And finally, by the time I was like in my early 20s, I wasn't producing any progesterone. I was completely empty of progesterone.
Wow.
And yeah, and so I also was told, I think it was when I was 19 or so, that I was pre-diabetic. I had hypoglycemia. I had insulin resistance. Um, yeah, and I think it was not long after I got married. I got married when I was 22,
Mhm.
and um, my health just fell apart, like completely fell apart. And I found out through different tests that I was, I had postmenopausal. I was postmenopausal, and according to doctors, there's nothing that could be done about that. Like you've reached the place of postmenopause and you can't go back. And so I thought that just doesn't make sense to me that can't be reversed.
Mhm.
Like I'm too young to go through this. Something had to cause this problem.
Right.
And I also had adrenal fatigue. It was so bad. It was like I think it was C. There's different levels of it. It's like there's A, B, C, D, and I think D or E or something like that is like irreversible. And I was like almost at D. I was so bad, and I was getting help, from a doctor online that was treating people long distance with this. And it kind of helped, but then again it was lots of supplements, and it was getting me a little bit better, but it wasn't fixing the problem. And I had done that for quite a long time, and I thought, this doesn't again make sense, that I can't fix this problem. My hormones were
Mhm.
so imbalanced, a lot of different things were not working. In order for me to just be able to sleep at nighttime, I had to eat a lot of like cheese for estrogen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just didn't sleep. And so I had to be up all night eating pieces of cheese. And then, like, for half of the month, and then the other half of the month, I couldn't touch it, because if I did, I wouldn't sleep. I had to not eat it to sleep. It was the craziest, like, imbalance. And so and so I was just asking them, I was like, is there something that can be done? I didn't used to be like this. And they said, well, no, this is how your body operates. And that's just how it is. You just need to adjust and get used to your new symptoms. And yeah, and I was so frustrated. I just thought, I'm not going to accept that as an answer, because I do believe this can be fixed.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, and so this kind of set me on the path of doing my own research. And I pretty much started, and it's really hard because I quit sleeping. I don't know if I mentioned that. I quit sleeping as well.
Yeah.
I was getting like 3 to 6 hours of sleep a week. And yeah, and I was so exhausted that my hair was turning gray, my hands were shaky. My blood pressure was like insanely low. It was like 69 over 55 or something. It was
Yeah.
like crazily low. And actually, we can talk about it a little more later too, but your blood pressure kind of shows you what your adrenal and your kidney health is like.
Right.
So, and it should be roughly around 120 over 65 or so. So the fact that I was, yeah, was it 59 or 60 or something over 55 is insanely low. It's insanely low. And I've actually never come across anyone so far that has had adrenals as bad as mine were. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I just so tired. And I wouldn't even say tired was the right word. It was like frantic feeling on the inside. I was just like, my nervous system was frazzled.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, either I have to figure this out, because no one else is going to help me. And if I don't figure this out, then I'm not going to live through this. So I decided to just start doing research, and I thought, I have no idea where to start, because there's so many different opinions out there on what to do and how everything works and everything.
Mm,
So I
absolutely.
I just decided to start researching and start writing to people. I wrote to medical people around the world. I wrote to natural health practitioners around the world. I had different meetings with different people. I was reading different books. I was reading different articles. And
Yeah.
the one thing that I tried a bunch of different things, but the one thing that I kept coming down to was that the more I simplified what I was eating, the better I would feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I tried different things, like some people saying that in order to have healthy hormones, you need to have a lot of healthy fat, right? Which
Mhm.
is sort of true in a sense. Yeah, but I was eating like a lot of fat trying to balance the hormones, and it didn't work. Like I just felt sluggish, and I felt tired and
Mm.
terrible. And so then yeah, so, and I was taking like 20 or 30 different supplements, and like, yeah, just it wasn't working. And so
Wow. Can
so
you share a bit about the supplements? Like what supplements did you take and what kind of fats like should you
yeah.
eat, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I was eating like a lot of coconut oil, a lot of coconut milk, from canned and boxed and everything. I didn't understand
Yeah.
the raw element yet as to how that really affects, the body as a whole. But yeah, hormones as well. But I was taking like huge amount of progesterone, like a huge amount,
Wow.
because I didn't have any, right? So I was taking those. I was taking a couple different herbs, but I was starting to feel scared of the herbs because medicine says they're not studied. It's science hasn't proven them to be effective, or they can have a lot of side effects. They can be
Mhm.
dangerous and all these different things. And so I read a lot of these things and I thought, oh no, I don't need more problems. So I quit taking a lot of different herbs. And so yeah, so I was taking like evening primrose oil and ascorbic acid for vitamin C, right? But now I've learned that ascorbic acid is just a chemical. It's not vitamin C. So
Right. And they sell it like vitamin C, like you should take it, but it's
it's
doing the opposite.
opposite. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. And as a little
Yeah.
side note, the reason that kind of helps to make it look like it's boosting your immune system is because it's an acid. So if you
Yes.
have a bacterial infection, if you have a viral infection, taking an acid, acids kill cells, right?
Yeah.
So those acids are going to kill some of those cells, making it look like your immune system is boosted, when in fact your immune system is not any better than it was, and you've just taken a bunch of acid. So um,
Yes.
yeah, so if we're wanting to boost the immune system, our immune system is within our lymphatic system, within our gut.
Yeah.
And there's different foods that help, that are actually rich in vitamin C, like camu camu is really good. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and acai is really good antioxidant. A lot of
yeah.
these types of things really boost, the immune system. So yeah, I can't remember what else I was taking so many different things, like so
Wow.
many different things.
And like,
Yeah.
how long did you do those different things, right? Because some people are like, yeah, you should just try it for a longer period of time and then you can see the results.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I think from the time I was probably like 12 or 13, is when I started all the supplements. But then I just kind of kept adding to them because as I got older and my symptoms were getting worse,
Yeah.
my doctors were saying, "Oh, you need to take this and take that." And so my list was just kind of like growing of supplements, and I noticed how I felt with them. I did feel better with them. I didn't feel well, but I felt better, and I couldn't not take them. I felt terrible without them. So I was just like having this long list of things to take, and I just felt so stuck in having to take all of these things. And even with taking those, I would still end up with, polycystic ovaries, cysts in my breasts, and different things like that. And I still felt not good. Um,
Yes.
so I just, yeah, it had just gotten to the place where I couldn't really figure out why it was just not all working. And so, yeah, as I simplified everything and kind of went back down to the very basics, I started to think like, how was it we were designed to eat? We weren't exactly designed to eat like all this cooked food, um,
Mm,
lots of, heavy protein, which is interesting. We weren't actually designed to eat heavy protein. We were designed to eat a lot of simple carbohydrates and fruits and, herbs and maybe some vegetables, but specifically fruits. All the stuff that you just pick and you eat, and it just goes straight into the body without having to be broken down and use energy and bog us down and acidify us and all these things. So, and it's
yeah.
so the opposite of like what we've been taught. And we think that like, and that's one thing I did. I thought I have to have high protein to
Yes.
heal my body. And I was eating tons and tons of beans and lots of like bread because I thought those things were, at least building me up, right? Lots of nutrients, lots of protein. And I just really felt worse the more of that I was eating. So
Yeah.
as I kind of went into like raw food, I started to, it's a little hard transitioning from, you could say, an average diet to raw, because then your meals, you're thinking like, it's okay, instead of having bread and eggs, I'll have like this big dehydrated like nut spread or whatever. And like,
Yeah.
so I was having like all of these type of foods, and I still did not feel good eating raw because I was eating raw cake, which is heavy nuts and seeds and like
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. So
I
it took
don't feel good on it either. Like,
a
still.
yeah. I space out how much of that stuff I eat because it's too much fat. I don't feel good.
Yeah,
So
same.
yeah, so I just learned that like finally like I got to this place where I was thinking like fruit, I always thought of fruit as a snack, right? Like that's something you eat when you're hungry before you go to the
Yeah.
restaurant and have a veggie burger, right? Because that's real
Yeah,
food. And
exactly. Fruit's just a snack. Yeah, I was told also that like we have here in the Netherlands this schijf van vijf. It's they say
oh,
you need to have so many carbs, so many proteins, so many, of everything. And fruit would be like maximum 3 pieces a day.
yes. Oh, those things are like upside down, actually. Like if you were
Yeah.
to look like they put meat at the top and refined carbohydrates and they put vegetables
Jeez.
and fruit at the very bottom. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's
Setting us up for failure and disease. Like it's
crazy.
very well thought of.
It's so terrible. And you think of like all the kids, that from a very young age get used to this type of a diet. And it's very easy because, it tastes really good and
Yeah.
it's a bit addicting. And so like it's very hard to switch that around once, you really get a taste for the other. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I kind of got to this place where it wasn't working what I was doing, even though I was eating raw, and I felt better in a sense, and then I did not feel better in another sense. And so then I just kept thinking like, what am I going to eat? And then I was thinking about the fruit, and I thought I just can't eat only fruit. I'll blow away. I'm going to lose all this weight. And so I just started trying it and started doing juicing. And that's when I just really noticed that like all of the juice and all of the herbs and all of the right approach, exercise, sleep, sunshine, juice, fruit, and raw things. I did, salads and different things like that.
Yeah.
It was just key. And, in regards to like fats and stuff, if we're going to do fats, like fats tend to bog down the system and slow down detoxification. So, in times, when we're looking at like doing intense detoxifying, we can eliminate fats for a good period of time.
Yeah.
Fats get stored in the body. It's not like we're gonna lose all our fat within just a few weeks of not eating it.
Yes, and there's fat in fruits and vegetables as
Yeah.
well because we really don't need so much. So,
Yeah, we really don't. And like if we do, the fats that I eat is some seeds and occasionally nuts. I really don't eat that many nuts, but
yeah.
some seeds and then some. I eat more coconut and more avocado as fat, but even with that, I don't
Mm,
eat that all the time. So,
my favorites. Oh, like young coconuts.
oh, I
Or,
know it's so good.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not easy to get here, but it's like, oh, so good.
I know, and I'm so thankful because like living in Norway is like not the place really to do all this fruit. And like this is a country of like meat and potatoes and bread and cheese and all
Yes.
this.
Yeah, same
trying,
here.
trying to
Yeah.
eat this tropical diet on in the north, but we're very blessed and lucky to be able to get lots of coconuts and like
Mm.
a lot of different things and everything. My husband, does a good job shopping after work, and
Oh,
he comes home with all of this amazing like food. So, yeah,
amazing.
so we're very, very blessed.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I want to ask a question for those that are watching because for us it is like you have been on this journey for a long time. I've been on it like for 2 years now, and
Yeah.
it's very natural for us now to understand because
Yeah.
we've researched so much and we've experienced so much about how we are designed. But can you explain like why
Mhm.
is it that fruit is our optimal food? Because people
Yeah.
believe still that we are hunters and that
Yeah.
our physiology is created to consume meat
Yeah.
dominantly.
Yeah, I find this interesting because, a little bit, I think a little bit of understanding where we came from helps us to understand kind of where we are and where we're going. And I can kind of understand that for people who believe that we have evolved, in evolution and atheism and all of this, I can understand where this might be a little harder to figure out because we believe, as creationists, that God created us and He put us in a garden and He
Yeah.
gave us the exact diet that was best suited for us. So for
Yes.
us, it's kind of easier to figure that out. But I still see that it's quite interesting with a lot of like Christians that a lot of Christians still say that, well, God, he gave us meat after the flood. And so that was, he approved that. And because of
Mm.
that, like we should eat that. That's the food that is best for us. And then I always think, why would the food that he gave us after the flood be the food that's the best for us? Why would
Mm.
gave us in the garden be the best food for us, you know? And so, yeah, it's interesting because all this meat and stuff, you know, people often feel kind of stimulated on it, which makes them gives them like a false sense of like energy. But when you
Yes.
get past the stimulation and when you get past the state of like your body's starting to burn out and everything, you know, you're left with just low energy. You're left feeling
Yeah.
bogged down. You're left with a lot of acidity in the gut and in the lymphatic system. You're left with all
Yeah.
toxicity and the hormones and all of the parasites and all of the fungus. And
Yes.
yeah, and so I think that, you know, going back to the simple, the foods that don't need to be broken down, because protein needs to be broken down into amino acids in order to be utilized as building blocks for our cells. Which is
Yeah.
the interesting thing about raw food, especially fruits and vegetables, is it doesn't need to be broken down. It can just be utilized. And because
Yes.
of that, it doesn't steal energy from our body. And it also it just provides us with the energy that we need. So we don't have to go through like this process of like, you know, everything that we eat has to, it either will give energy or it will steal energy. And we need to be
Yeah.
thinking about that when we eat. What are we feeding ourselves? Because, you know, often now we've gotten to this place of like eating to gratify appetite. And that's not why we eat, really. And I believe
No.
that God, yeah, I believe that God has given us taste buds that we're supposed to enjoy the foods that we eat. But you know, it's interesting that I think taste buds have become perverted, and we enjoy the stimulating, the cheesy, the rich, the oily, the high flavor. You know, all these different things. And so, the interesting thing is that going back now to a very simple diet. You know, me and my family, we crave watermelon and we crave papayas. And it's sort of like other people are like, ooh, papaya, like that's an odd fruit. I've never had that before. I wouldn't want to eat that. And
But
it's
it's
just,
an odd one for many people. It's very different than other fruits, so I get that one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's just sort of like we've got so used to these other things. And like,
Yeah.
um, it's a matter of not being led by your appetite, but by letting your decisions choose what you're going to do. And when you
Yeah.
do that, then you can start to be in control of what goes in, because we're feeding ourselves. We're not feeding our taste buds to start with. So
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that
yeah.
means like, I get reminded of this verse every time that for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, love, and
Mhm.
self-control or self-discipline. It's
Yeah.
also said strength of spirit. And I feel like that it has to do with the choices that we make, that we
For
have been
sure.
given self-control, but many people don't have like this self-discipline or self-control in what they eat
Yeah.
because the foods are so perverted. The moment that you touch it, you cannot stop eating and you still feel empty.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so interesting because, like, you know, looking back at like how I used to feel was like I had hypoglycemia. Um, so I would get up every morning. I loved my bread and butter and eggs and cheese and
Mm,
ketchup. So I had that every morning, 2 or 3 slices. And the interesting thing is that I always thought like I have to eat a lot and I need a lot of fat and I need a lot of protein because I get hungry very fast. And I
mhm.
thought, well, maybe I have a high, like, fast metabolism combined with hypoglycemia. But even after just eating 2 or 3 of those, you know, with eggs and everything, I was like passing out 2.5 hours later. Like,
Yeah,
I was so hungry, and I had to have a snack with me, otherwise I would pass out.
yeah.
And
You
and
get like
so
tremors, right? You get like tremors, you get like dizziness and heat waves.
yeah,
Yeah, I had the same thing. It's
miserable feeling. Yeah,
yeah,
and I remember it would hit me like that, and like I would be fine 1 minute, and then it was like the next minute I was like, I have to eat. I have to eat right now. I have
yeah,
to find something to eat. And
yeah,
so yeah, it was terrible. And so I would always like take it to school or to work, you know, snacks, and it would often be chips or crackers or nuts or something. I'm thinking protein, right? Protein, protein.
yeah. Dense food, right? To
Yeah.
fill yourself up. That's what we. Yeah,
Yeah, and I have learned since then that the opposite is true. Now it's very interesting because like my actual protein intake now is very low. But you know, all of the foods that I eat are high in amino acids, so I'm getting what I need without bogging my system down. And the interesting thing is that like I don't have hypoglycemia, and anymore. And I can eat like a jar of smoothie. I can eat a whole watermelon and be full for several hours. And when I start to get hungry, then I'm just getting the hunger feeling. I'm not getting this like I have to eat kind of.
Yes. Yes.
So
It's a different kind of hunger. It's like, oh, I
yeah,
feel I need something now. Or it's more here, but it's not like when my stomach is making noise, I need to eat, or when I have like tremors, I need to eat something now, now, now. It's totally
yes,
different. Yeah.
it's totally different. Yeah, it's so much a better feeling and everything. And like I just there's so many things that I wish that I knew back, like I don't know,
Mm,
20 years ago. But it's better late than never. It's never too late to implement these healthier choices. So
yeah, and you
yeah.
know what I love about you? Like you are so optimistic, even like when you coached me and I was like, oh, I don't know how it's ever going to get better. You were like, yeah, but it is getting better because look where you come from. And this is
Thank
exactly like your story. You have been so sick and you've been working your way up, and it's
you.
still a process, but you are in like
Yeah.
such good health in comparison with years ago.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
for
that's what I love
sure.
about you. You're so optimistic and like encouraging always, and
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one thing that I have learned is that like, attitude has so much to say with like where we're going. And like,
yes,
if like, have you been around people before that are just like negative and everything is like heavy and like
yeah.
drama and all this stuff, and you just feel tired and you feel worn out.
Yeah, and it's okay to complain sometimes or like be real with yourself, like, oh,
Yeah,
this really, really sucks. Like, I
yeah,
would, I'm really having a hard time with this, and just be with the feeling and express it. But then, okay, but I'm going forward, and yeah,
absolutely. Like it just makes such a difference. And like,
yeah,
sometimes like getting up, and if you have some days that are hard, to think positively and to count your blessings and to show gratitude, have like attitude of gratitude. And like
mm,
kind of like you're talking about, like it's a process and how bad
yeah,
off I was, where I am and where I'm still planning on going. And there's different situations that come up in life, and understanding how the body works, plus implementing all of the right tools is, and using a happy, a positive attitude is what's going to get us to where we need to be. And
yeah,
like, for my situation, for instance, I had a baby 10 months ago, and I'm so surprised how well I've done, because like I've had like no sleep. The first 5 months was like no sleep, and then after that, up until like last week, I was up like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times a night. So I am so sleep deprived, and it's showing up in different symptoms in my body, endocrine wise. But it's
yeah,
fixable, and now he started to sleep well, so now I get to focus on myself and start to work on fixing these different issues again. And I can already tell that what I'm doing is helping. So it's sort of just like, when people ask me sometimes, like, like, why aren't you in perfect health? Or they see my eyes, like on
mm,
Instagram, they say, like, why do I see white in your eyes? And I'm like, well, I'm human. And like, I've had my own
yeah,
process of healing.
yeah. Like the reason why I am doing what I do is because I was super sick, right? And I have become like so much healthier, but I still have a way to go. It's like it's not like you're superwoman suddenly. You're like overnight, you're fixed and healed, and you're like your eyes are perfect. And by the way, the eyes take the longest time, right? I mean, all those um lines and the colors, they don't change overnight. This can take like decades.
Oh, that's
The
so true.
body, yeah. I mean,
And
I
like,
was like, I
yeah.
have blue eyes, honestly, and I was like, when am I going to see my blue eyes?
Yeah.
But it's not. It
Yes.
doesn't work like that.
No, they will show up. They will show up under there.
One day.
But like, you've been through this like detoxing, like, you continue this detoxing that you go through, and like,
Yeah.
and those of you watching who have been kind of through this understand how this works. Is like, when you go through phases of like heavier detox, you wouldn't believe the stuff that comes out, like of everywhere, like,
Everywhere, like every hole.
yes. And I have to say too that like it's crazy, like, the different detoxes I've done. Like, I've gotten out quite a bit of different mucoid plaques. I've gotten out of like hacked up, like thick like glue balls of mucus, and like
Yeah.
and it's just sort of like, you think, where is all that, and then all of a sudden you start hacking it out, and here's these huge balls of mucus. And when you start to kind of dig deep, you start to understand that, like, wow, lymph is deep.
Yeah.
Clogged lymph is very deep. And it's, when you
Yeah.
see this glue come out of you, and it's like, that had to work itself all the way from wherever it was all the way up here.
Yeah.
It doesn't just come out like that. Detoxing is not a weekend thing or a month endeavor. It takes time. It takes time. We have inherited weaknesses and inherited toxicity, and then we've made bad decisions for the last 20 or 30 years, and so it takes time to eliminate all of this stuff, but with persistence, it comes out. So
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
good thing.
Oh
Yeah.
man. And
Yeah.
can you share with us like why is it important? Because many people don't really feel the need to do a detox because they're like, I'm doing fine, I have no issues. Why is it
Yeah.
so important for us?
Oh, yeah. Well, because it's interesting because, our bodies are made up of fluids, cells and fluids. So we have about 80% of those fluids are lymphatic fluids, and 20% is blood. So the
Yeah.
blood feeds our healthy cells, and our cells eat, and then they produce waste. And that
Yes.
waste is cleaned out from the lymphatic system, and then it is eliminated through the kidneys. And often what happens is because, we eat so acidically, because we have weak genetics, because we have burned out our adrenals and all these different things, our kidneys slow down the filtering, and also they stop filtering. And
Yeah.
because of that, it's like a sewage system that just starts to back up. And, you can see it in your eyes, and you can see it in your symptoms, that all of this stuff starts to just, it starts to back up, and, and you start getting all these sicknesses and diseases, right? But all of these diseases are because of genetic weakness, and it's also
Yes.
because of acidity and toxicity.
Yes.
So we have to get all this stuff out. And people often ask me, like, well, how long do I need to be on a special detox before I can go back to my normal diet? And I'm like, okay, we have to understand why we're detoxing. We've kind of labeled detoxing as like its own thing to clean out the body so we can go back to living life. But detoxing is our body's natural function of eliminating waste. So you don't ever want to stop that process, because when we stop that process, then we go back to sick. Like, so if we
Yeah.
want to stay well, then we need to make sure this is working. And, everybody kind of decides for themselves, when they've been through heavy detoxing, whether they would like to incorporate a little bit more, unhealthy foods into their diets again, or if they want to stick with high fruit. But then at least, it's important to understand how to always go back and to clean out, because once you've put acidic food in your body, that needs to come out somehow. And if it's not coming
Yes.
out, you're accumulating. And what you're accumulating, is a lot of waste, a lot of toxicity, and then you can just count on sicknesses later. So it's very, very important to make sure that all of this is moving and that all of this is coming out. So yeah,
Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
Yeah. I think it's so important. It's like you clean your house, you clean your car, you clean your kitchen. Just
yes,
yeah, it's actually about the kitchen a lot. Then you
that's
clean your
true.
toilet. You cannot because it's going to be backed up, and at a certain point, it's just going to be like the body cannot handle it anymore. It's too much
No,
toxicity, and we are not designed to handle that. We are very strong. Our bodies are very resilient.
very,
As
yeah,
we see, like there are so many people that are suffering, and it's all
yeah,
because of the toxicity,
yeah, it is.
acidity, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's
So
sad too, because there's different people, that I talk to. I talk to a lot of different people. They write to me all the time. And if
yeah,
you're one of them out there who's written to me and I haven't written you back, just write to me again, because like all these messages get lost in there, and I know there's people who haven't written back. So
yeah.
send me more messages.
Instagram, Instagram is so chaotic sometimes. I know. It's like you open the message and then it's like, huh,
Yeah.
did I answer this or not? It's
Oh yeah, and then you remember some days later. Oh, I forgot to write somebody back, and then you can't find it.
it's
Yeah.
okay. It's good that you mention this. People that are watching, they yeah, they will find you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, but one thing they ask me is like, they have all these different issues. Is it too late for me to start to heal? And
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe what the body can actually do. Like most people aren't aware of what can the body can actually do. You know, eyesight can be restored. You can restore your endocrine system. You can restore the function of your glands and your organs. You can
Yeah.
restore the health and of all of these different things. Don't let a doctor or someone tell you that, like, oh, you're too far gone. You know, just go home and enjoy the last days. Go home and just manage your symptoms. Like that, I would not buy that. Just don't buy that. You know,
Yeah.
look into how this works and how you can work on your specific symptoms and issues and how you can
Yes.
eliminate this problem, because there's so many people with, I would say, every type of problem pretty much that they have really worked on and either for the most part healed or completely healed.
Yeah.
So my piece of advice that I would just say is, if someone is telling you, like, you know, you're too far gone, let that be an opportunity to just prove them wrong. That's what I would
Come
do.
on. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. Yeah, don't give up. Don't let anybody tell you that you cannot do something. Whatever
No,
it is, like healing your body, following your purpose, doing
absolutely.
whatever God has put inside of your heart, or like running a marathon, everything. I
Yes.
actually
Yes.
saw this amazing interview about a lady, or a girl. She was
Okay.
in a wheelchair for many years, and the doctor said, like, yeah, we cannot do anything for you. And she did like 1 year of juice, 1 year. And
Yeah.
she said, like, if I'm going to get healed, because she really believed it,
Yes.
I'm going to run a marathon. And she did that.
That's
She
incredible.
did a 5K. I mean, she didn't do the biggest one, but I mean, she couldn't walk before. It
Yeah.
was amazing, and all the doctors were like, "Whoa, you're like a miracle."
That's
But this
incredible.
is the miracle power that's inside of our body when we create the right environment.
Oh,
When we
it's
do the juicing and detoxing, yeah, it's that
incredible.
story, man. I was just crying. I was so encouraged.
That's incredible. It's like, you know, it's almost like, because of medicine and because of acidity, we haven't really realized our full potential. You know,
Yes.
that we are not these weakling creatures that just kind of shrivel up and die. We have cells in our bodies that like we have
Yeah,
we have cells in our body that are fighting for us. We have cells that are trying to heal us. And if
come
we give
on.
them the right, you know, environment, then they will work for us and with us. And you know, when I was studying to become a certified detoxification specialist,
Yeah.
one thing that my teacher was telling me that was really, well, he was teaching, that was really interesting, was there was this woman that had come to his office, and
Mm-hmm.
she had had her thyroid glands removed, and because of that, she felt terrible. But she was taking, you know, like thyroid hormone replacements, and
Mm-hmm.
she was asking him, like, well, what could be done, you know? And he's like, you know, I don't know. You had your thyroid removed, but you know, detoxing is always a good thing to do. Let's use lots of herbs and glandulars and alkalize your body with fruits, and you know, I'm sure this will help your overall system work better.
Yeah.
So they did all of that. They started detoxing, and I can't remember how long it took her. I would say maybe a year
Yeah.
of, like, she was all in. She was all into the fruit and everything. And after about like a year, she was just saying she felt amazing. She felt really good. And she just kind of wanted to go back and do a checkup with her doctor. They scanned her area where her thyroid was supposed to be, and they found that one gland grew back. And
Wow.
she was producing thyroid hormones in that one gland that had grown back. And
Oh.
yeah, I think we,
Yeah.
and this is why I just say, I think we as humanity, we don't understand our full potential. We do
Yeah.
not need to succumb to these diseases. We need to figure out what causes them and then fix the problem.
Come on. Tisla,
Yeah.
I want to share this with you. I saw this image yesterday on, I think it was Telegram or Instagram. You know, I'm always like searching for truth and fruit and God and all these things. And I found this um, image. I don't think I can show it like this, so I'm just going to read it. But it
Yeah.
is a lifespan of the ancient lifespan. So they say that Noah died 350 years after the flood at
Yeah.
the age of 950. The last of the extremely long lived, well, that's a difficult word. The maximum human lifespan, as depicted by the Bible, gradually diminishes thereafter from almost 1,000 years to the 120 years of Moses. And then
Yeah.
we see like the foods that they ate. So Adam, Seth,
Yeah.
Enos, Canaan, Jared, and all those guys, they
Yeah.
all ate fruits. And
Yeah.
then after they started eating animal products, their
Yeah.
lifespan became shorter.
Yep. Isn't that interesting?
It's I will send it to you. It's
Oh,
amazing.
I want to, yeah, I would love to see that. That's interesting because when people talk to me about, like, of course, Adam and Eve, they ate bread and they ate grains and everything. And I'm like, look at what Cain was offering on, when Cain and Abel were doing their offerings, and God asked them to offer a lamb as an offering, right? That was pointing towards what Jesus was going to do in the future
Yes.
for us. And Abel said, okay, I will do what you've asked me to do. So he offered a lamb in his offerings. But Cain, he worked in the garden and he grew fruit. And because of what he did, he felt like that was a more fitting offering to God. So he put his offering on his altar. He put his fruit, the works of his labor, and it
Yeah.
was literally fruit. It wasn't bread. It wasn't
Yeah.
meat. It wasn't what he hunted and gathered. It was fruit that he put on his altar, and that's why
Mhm.
that whole ordeal with them happened. And
Wow.
that's interesting. You think of how long that they lived, like you just said. It's incredible, really
It
incredible.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah. And this, like talking about our design, I know that we've been told that we are hunter-gatherers,
yeah,
but looking back, we
yeah,
were gatherers. The
yes,
hunting was only for necessary
yeah,
situations, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
after the flood, that's
yeah,
when,
yeah,
well, there's
yeah.
so much to learn about that.
There's so much to learn. It's incredible. And other things that's quite interesting with, like, the way that the earth was before the flood. From what I understand, there was less big bodies of water and there was more land. So there was probably a lot more oxygen in the air. And a lot of these, fossils and things that they find, plants were just so much bigger. And I
Yeah,
think there was more nutrition. I think there was, better genetics. I think there was
yeah,
less toxicity and there was more oxygen. Yeah, everything was just better.
yes,
So I think there's, some other factors too, but I think definitely, like, with what they were eating is just like, and you can see that now. You can see that with, people who, I talk to regularly, and they're really struggling with all these different issues. And they say, I've been eating, a high protein, a high fat, and a high carb diet for a long time, and I just feel terrible. And when you're doing healing, you can never really heal like that. And you put
yeah,
them on fruit and you put them on all these types of foods, and it takes just a very short amount of time, and they start to feel clear in their mind. They start to get their energy back. And
yes,
for those, I know you've done this, and I've also done it, like, a whole month on fruit, or several months on fruit, or several months on juice. And the
yes.
feeling of lightness and energy, and, like, it's like an ongoing.
Positivity is like you're so happy, you're so
Yeah.
high.
Yes. It's like it's so clear. It's hard to explain.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like I want to, like, get up and just fly away because I feel so
yeah,
amazing when I eat just
yeah.
so much fruit. And so, yeah, and so it's like, for those who have not tried this, like
Mhm.
like it's hard to explain. And, like, uh the only way you'll know is if you try, because you just
It's
feel
true.
different. Yeah. 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 So it's
That's
totally
great
different.
advice. Mm,
Yeah. Totally different. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. We are
Oh,
already coming to an end, you see. So I'm thinking, is there anything else you would like to share? Otherwise, we're
yeah, maybe one more thing. I just remembered
Mhm.
somebody had asked a question the
Yeah.
last time we had done a live on Instagram. And
Mhm.
they were wondering, like, and I've also got this question the other day. So, like, what does my day kind of look like with, like, what I eat?
Yeah,
And
that's a good.
yeah, so, like, what I do, and we're not eating all raw at the moment. And the only reason for that is because we don't live in the tropics.
It's
I wish.
snowing outside. I see snow in the background.
Yes. It's snowing outside. And, like, I wish that we could just live off of, like, all these amazing fruits, but, like, it's just too expensive here. And with food prices going up, we're trying to find healthy, simple ways to add cooked food into our diet while still maintaining a high detox level. And while we do that, like, when we get opportunities where we get a lot of like grapes on sale, maybe I'll do like a week of grape juice or something like this.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so basically what we do is like, I get up and I eat maybe like a melon, and then I'll maybe have some juice a little later, and then I'll have a smoothie a little later, and then a little later maybe I'll have a salad, and then maybe some more juice later, and then maybe some more melon, and then a smoothie for supper. So some people say, oh, that's like a lot of eating throughout the day. And I'm like, yeah, you can do this. There's different ways you can do it. I
Yeah.
feel better when I eat smaller quantities and
Yeah.
kind of stretch it whenever, like when I'm hungry, then I eat some. And
Yeah.
I don't like to start my day if I am going to have like cucumber zoodles, with like a seed sauce or like
Mm,
avocados and different things like that. I don't like to have that for breakfast because I just feel bogged down quickly when I do that. But
yeah.
um when I like spend my whole morning hydrating and like energizing and then eating something a little heavier in the afternoon seems to like settle better, and I feel better that way.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing if we're going to eat cooked. Like maybe we'll have like some baked sweet potato and a salad, or we'll have like some quinoa and a salad. We always eat something cooked with something raw. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
yeah, there was one time last Christmas, like when we gathered, together with everyone else to have Christmas dinner. We brought our own vegan nut roast, and then I didn't think about the fact that no one else would have a salad. So when we got there, we were just eating like cooked food, and like my goodness, I just felt so dry and so like thirsty,
Mm,
and just so like I was missing something. So ever since then, we've
yeah.
made sure to always provide like some sort of salad or something raw together with our cooked meal because we just feel so dry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we always have a cooked meal if we're going to eat cooked. It's going to be later in the day, and not so heavy and just simply cooked. So, and I have to say that like by doing it that way, I just people. Yeah, people just ask, at times like, oh, when are you going to go back to eating normal, with lots of bread and, maybe 2, 3 cooked meals a day. And I say never because I don't like how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I totally agree. I totally am with you. Can
Yeah.
never go back.
Never
If
go back.
you once you experience the level of hydration and energy and clarity,
Yeah.
you just don't want to go back. I mean, I've tried it honestly
Yeah.
to experiment, and then also, learning from that. Like, I don't
Yes.
want to feel like that. That's
No,
not living for me.
it's
And
not
what
living.
happens as well is that I want to eat that food again. It's so addictive
It's addictive.
that I'm
Yes.
thinking more about food than just experiencing life.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
not, yeah, I
yeah.
don't like that. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
eat when I'm hungry, and I just want to live life and enjoy life and be nourished in different ways as well. Like having connection with other people, with God, doing the things that I love.
Oh,
I mean,
true. Yeah,
that's also energy. That's also vibration. That's also nourishment.
it
So,
is. Yeah, it's
yeah.
so fascinating. Like, there's different ways that we energize our bodies, and like food is one of them. And I think we have to stop looking at food as, like I was talking about earlier, it's just appetite. We have to look at it as fuel for our cells.
Yeah.
What does our cells want? Our cells want hydration, they want energy, they
Yeah.
want yeah, electrical energy and all these things. And so, other ways we get that is through the sun. We get that through the positive like experiences of people around us, laughing and
Mhm.
sleeping enough gives us good energy.
Yeah.
um, Walking barefoot on the grass gives us energy. So there's different ways to charge all of this. And when you think of how society has like changed all of that for us, we wear shoes all day, we're stuck inside most of the time with radiation, and and we eat cooked foods all day, and it's just kind of like, my goodness, it's no wonder we just are depressed and we're overweight and like we don't feel good, and like no
Yeah.
wonder humanity has come to that.
It's
So yeah.
true. It's true. And we're doing this interview, so there's radiation. We are very aware of that. But we're
I
doing it.
I'm corded. I have
You
a
have yes, that is amazing. Yes, you are
yeah.
really well prepared. I don't have that, but
Oh
we're doing it to share this message
yeah.
because it's just
Yeah.
super important. And you are also
Yeah.
way stronger when you detox your body. You can handle a lot more,
Yeah.
and
It's
you're not like yeah, not a victim anymore to what's happening around you. I
So
mean,
true.
there's still things you can still get sick, or feel unwell, but not on the
Yeah.
same level.
Not the
So
same level. Yeah. And I noticed that like when we get sick, like often we're together with people who are sick and we don't get sick. But then there's times we do get sick. And when we do
yeah,
get sick, it is not as bad and it doesn't last as long as it does for other people. And then
yeah,
we pull out all of the detoxing. We go on only fruit, we do lots of juice, we do all the herbs, we do the sauna, go to bed early. And like it just
everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
then it just is, within a few days it's gone again. So
yeah,
so it's just and I just want to say one last thing, and that is that before I was postmenopausal when I was in my early 20s.
yeah,
And, like the doctor said, it was not possible to reverse that. And I have reversed that. I have a perfect cycle. And, it should be a 28-day cycle with, ovulation on the day 14. That is a perfect cycle. And if
yeah.
that's not happening, then there's things to work on. And
Mm,
I have to say, I'm so blessed to have two children now. And like we almost every single day after they go to bed, my husband and I say like, "Oh, we're so thankful for them because like, that's our lives wouldn't have looked like this if we wouldn't have addressed these different problems." And so we're
yeah,
so thankful for that. Like, and the other thing is just like, you know, it's one thing to have your family and to have your kids, but if you have no energy to enjoy them, if life is just kind of like, you're tired and you just want to go to bed and you want them to go to bed so you can relax and all those other things, that's not living. And
right.
there's a way to get to that place where you have energy to keep up with them and where you can run around the house with them and you can just be wild and have a good time, and that's living. And so I just encourage everyone else who's out there and watching, like, if you're not at that place where you feel like you're actually living, then there's definitely work to do, and you can get yourself to feeling that way again. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing all of that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I, I really just get a bit emotional as well because I wish more people knew, that you can feel alive and that you can heal. Because I remember when I was so sick and I was just like crying out to God and like, oh, I was just visualizing myself being healthy and doing the things that I love again, and I didn't know that it was possible, but it is.
It
So you
is.
are a true testimony, and I'm as well. And we just keep going and regenerating and getting
Yes.
our God-given health back, like
Yeah.
fully, like our reaching our full potential and helping others.
Yes, absolutely. And those, watching as well, like, it can be a little lonely journey because like most people don't understand, it's just, for some reason, if you don't eat the same food they eat, it's offensive and it's like
Yeah,
negative and all these things. And so it can really help to just like connect with people, how we've connected, and like we have others we talk to in the same type of
yeah,
lifestyle. And that in itself can give a lot of energy to, and positivity and encouragement to
yeah.
continue path and to not be afraid to stand out and to be different. And that really really helps. I have noticed, because otherwise at times, in the beginning of all of this, it just felt like we're the only ones and we're so weird. Here we are going to birthdays and different things where everyone's eating
Speaking
cake,
of,
dogs, and we're bringing
yeah,
juice, and kind of like
yeah,
but if those around you really care about your well-being, then they're going to support you even if it's different than what they understand.
yes,
So we have the
absolutely.
opportunity to choose who we're going to be around and to uplift ourselves. And it's important. We have nothing to give to anyone else unless we take care of ourselves. So yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And you guys, if you are looking for someone who can guide you, on this path, and you're like, yeah, I'm very alone on this and I want to be helped, I want to get some help in that.
Yeah,
You offer a 3-month program, right?
I
I
do.
did it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved it. I said it so many times. It was amazing, and I love working with you. So, I
Oh,
highly encourage the people that are watching to just get in contact with you. So, where
for sure.
can they find you?
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, it was so much fun having you in the program, and I looked forward to our meetings every single time.
Me too.
Um, yes. Yeah. So right now, I'm actually like working on a website, um, and I'm and I have 2 kids, so like, yeah, and I'm technically challenged, so it takes a little time to get the website done. But I'm planning on having like all of my program information with reviews on my website, as well as iridology information and reviews there as well, and different things about myself and what I provide. So until then, I am available only on Instagram, so you
Yeah.
can find me at rossum.tisla.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's where you can find me. And hopefully within the next month or so, I'm going to have my website done, but then I'll share that on my Instagram page. So so others will be able to go there, because I get a lot of questions actually, like where they can go to read about my iridology or
Yeah.
reviews or my program. So it's
Yeah.
coming, like I'm working on it. But yes, it'll be out soon.
Amazing. I will also put down your information or link it down below this video. So for those who like missed it, you can just check it out there.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That'd be
Thank
awesome.
you.
Oh, it's so nice to
Oh,
talk to you again.
yeah. Oh, likewise. I always love talking with you. Maybe we can do this
Oh,
again. And yeah, we are planning on that. So
yeah. Let's do it again. Yes, our time, I always notice that as we do this, like it's just like our time goes like that. So
I know.
yeah, it goes really fast.
It's like this thing, when you're having fun, time is just going so fast. And I was talking about it with a friend today. Why is that? Like when
Yeah.
you're having a hard time, it's like time takes forever. And now we're talking about this, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why does it go so fast?
Yes,
So
that's so true.
yeah,
Oh, yes. Well, I'm looking forward to next time. That will be a lot of fun.
me too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. And
Oh,
have a great evening.
thank you. You too. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.